Hey everyone, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the interview I published a few hours ago with one of our dual citizen viewers. If you haven't seen it yet, I'll put a link in the description below. Today I wanted to talk about a report that was sent my way, stating that Canadian tourism is slowing in Florida. I know we're all frustrated with the current snowbirds that are still going south, but I have an audio clip from a Canadian snowbird who claims everything is fine, that everything is normal, and that it's all butterflies and rainbows in her eyes. I'm going to show her why that's not the case, and we'll be bursting her bubble with a bit of reality. So you're definitely going to want to stick around for that one. I also have a promo from Myrtle Beach, targeting Canadians, that I really wanted to show everyone. It should give you a bit of a good chuckle, especially on Christmas Eve. Lastly, I wanted to end my final video before Christmas on a positive note. There's a really nice Canadian Christmas report coming out of Newfoundland, so make sure you stick around for that one at the end. And I want to thank my Reddit viewer for posting this in my subreddit. Today's backdrop comes from Dawn, who took this photo from Muskoka, Ontario. I get cold shivers just looking at it, but I honestly miss the cold, crisp air. It's about 30 degrees where I am right now, and later I think it's going to feel like 37, somewhere around there. I know a lot of people want to escape winter, but I really do miss the Vancouver temperatures. Thanks for sending us over, Don. Okay, let's get started with the first Florida snowbird report.
Well, tonight, it's one of the busiest travel seasons of the year, and Florida is in the spotlight. Now, AAA says the Sunshine State claimed 4 of the top 5 holiday travel destinations, with South Florida taking number 2 and number 3. But there's a group of tourists staying away. New data shows travel from Canada has dropped sharply, and more Canadians are packing up and leaving Florida for good. Investigative reporter Kate Hussey has been hearing from local business owners who say they're feeling the chill of a Canadian cool down.
Atlantic Hotel and Spa.
We are a Canadian hotel.
It's typically the most wonderful and busiest time of the year.
Yes, we are running.
But this holiday season, it's noticeably quieter.
We are not seeing the visitors that normally come.
The hotel's biggest missing group, Canadians.
We have desperately seen a decline, and we are begging and welcoming and hoping that the Canadians come back.
No amount of hope is going to bring a good portion of Canadians back to Florida, or anywhere else in the US. Begging doesn't work, and neither do discounts. And neither do those 3 stupid golf balls. One thing we always have to remember when we see these reports is who they're actually talking to. If they're interviewing a Canadian snowbird who is already in the United States, or like that Arizona report I covered a while ago, where they're talking to a Canadian getting off the plane, you already know it's going to be a built-in bias on what the people are going to say. I've always said this on my channel, that one of my key measurements is listening to the business owners. Not just what they're saying, but their tone when they're explaining their struggles. And for this woman, this is one of the first times I can remember that a US business owner openly saying that they're begging for Canadians to come back.
I spoke with Amy Faulkner, Director of Sales and Marketing. She tells me as of July, visits to the Fort Lauderdale Hotel were down by 32% compared to the previous year. And that was only midway through 2025.
It's greatly impacted business. We're a full-service hotel, so we have a spa, we have a full restaurant, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I have a pool bar on the 5th floor. So just me alone, it's affected me extremely, but also all of the beautiful local restaurants nearby and the shops. Everyone is affected.
Oh no, the beautiful local restaurants, the shops, and everyone else you're talking about is also being affected. With that said, I do wonder how many of these shop owners and managers and staff, and even investors, voted for the guy who spends a little bit too much time at Mar-a-Lago. For those that did, I can't honestly say I have much sympathy for what's happening to their businesses. But for the shop owners and restaurants who didn't vote for the Mar-a-Lago guy, unfortunately this is an issue that the United States needs to resolve internally. Canadians and international tourists are not going to fix this for you. Let me know in my comments if you agree with me on my take. And if you do agree and you're not subscribed, or YouTube automatically unsubbed you from the channel, it's happening again. You can help support my channel by hitting the subscribe button below.
I dug through data from Visit Lauderdale and found the city typically sees 1.1 million Canadians per year. And in early 2025, Canadian tourism was actually up over last year. But in April, 2 months after Trump initiated tariffs on Canada, the number of Canadians hitting the skies for South Florida's beaches started plummeting. By May, Canadian visitors dropped as much as 13%.
Are they giving you a reason for not coming this time around?
They're saying since the changes around January 2025 that in the economic environment that they don't feel welcome.
It's not just the economic environment. It's the fact that your idiot president wants to take over my country. And now it looks like Greenland has been retargeted by the Trump administration. Greenland and Denmark, I stand with you. and stand your ground against the Trump regime. But do you see how she phrased it? Centering the reason around the tariffs and economics. I've seen other reports where business owners try to reference the 51st state. With those people, I get the sense that they understand what's going on, but they do not want to say 51st state outright because of the backlash it might bring. Still, it's getting easier these days to tell who voted for who.
Survey data Faulkner shared with me shows why. Half of Canadian guests who stopped coming cited the economic environment enacted in January of 2025. 46% pointed to disputes and tariffs. 35% said they have negative feelings toward the U.S. overall.
Where did you get this survey data from? From Canadians who are already in the United States? Because these numbers don't look right to this Canadian.
Canadians always is our number one international markets. But this time, what we have done is to make sure that we rely on other important international markets.
Milton Segarra, president of Discover the Palm Beaches, says Palm Beach County has seen a similar slide. Normally welcoming about 370,000 Canadian tourists a year, this year that's down to 253,000. It's less than a 5% drop, but he calls it a sharp.
What? 370K down to 253K is more than a 5% drop. Based on the numbers you just stated, my guess is that it's close to around 30%. Am I missing something here, or are we being gaslit to hell with this?
Shift from the usual trend.
It is, because obviously, as I mentioned, they are our number one international market.
Many of them will tell me they just don't feel as welcome.
Sonata Adzem, executive director of luxury sales for Douglas Elliman, tells me it's not just Canadian visitors staying away from South Florida, but homeowners too, citing a weak Canadian dollar as part of the reason.
We have
screw off with your weak Canadian dollar excuse.
seen a tremendous drop-off, okay, in terms of how many Canadian buyers are looking in South Florida, be it if it's in Fort Lauderdale, Boca Raton, or Delray Beach.
And it's not just that people aren't coming, they're leaving too. Adzem says in the past month, she's had 8 new Canadian-owned listings. Federal Reserve Bank data shows just a month after the trade war with Canada began, Palm Beach County home listings spiked to the highest they've been in 10 years. And according to a public records request I filed with the county, 321 Palm Beach County homes with Canadian mailing addresses already sold this year. Boynton Beach, West Palm, and Boca Raton sold the most.
The season's just starting. I think that trend is going to continue.
And I hope it continues in that downward trend. And I hope it falls hard. I already interviewed a few Canadians who decided to leave the United States. Some lived there for work, and others were snowbirds who decided to pack up and leave. After this clip, I'm going to show you a Canadian snowbird whose US bubble is so thick that her statements will probably piss a lot of you off.
According to a Florida Realtors report, Canadians are Florida's largest international buyers, making up 17% of all foreign home purchases, spending about $1.3 billion. The top buying destination stretches from Miami to West Palm Beach.
I am concerned about the negative impact on that.
For Faulkner, it already has.
Please, to all the Canadians, we love you. Please come back.
Okay, hotel lady. Let me give you a response on behalf of a very good portion of Canadians regarding your request for us to come back. No. Many Canadians are done with your country, and we're done supporting your economy. Why should we come back when your government and even your citizens continue to disrespect us? I'll show the citizens part later in this video.
Well, the good news for Palm Beach County, while Canadian tourism is down, other countries are picking up the slack. Discover the Palm Beaches reports a 10% increase in visitors from the UK, Germany, Colombia, and Brazil, which is helping offset the Canadian cooldown. Adzem hopes growing interest from New York and California buyers will also help steady the real estate market. Up north, Visit St. Lucie also, Todd, says that they're shifting their marketing away from Canadians and towards similar demographics that they say are more likely to visit.
Okay, so the question that pops in my mind is, do you think that this is going to be a permanent thing?
And that is the question, right, that everybody I talked to is asking. They're hoping the answer to that question is no. But of course, it all depends. Right now, again, they're citing the economic impact of the Canadian dollar. So we'll have to see how that plays out.
Well, I learned something here. I did not know that the Canadians were the largest buyers here.
I had no idea either, and until I started digging through that data. So interesting tidbit.
I'm sorry, but there's a lot of things you don't know because you're stuck inside your US exceptionalism bubble. You're not the greatest country in the world, and it isn't a privilege to visit your country. Now, for those living in the UK, Germany, Colombia, Brazil, and quite frankly, the rest of the world, how do you feel about the US using you guys as pawns to help their economy? All they want is your money, no matter what currency you use or what country you're from. Now, I want to move on to that Canadian snowbird who has clearly taken the blue pill from the Matrix and is living in La La Land. I'm going to let this clip run straight through, and I'll give my comments at the end.
I guess there are a number of reasons why. Number one, I guess we love it here. We've been coming here. This will be, 2026 will be our 13th year being here. We have property here. We have a lot of friends here. Yeah. The lifestyle, the climate, all of those reasons are the reasons we're here. This is our winter home, and it has been, and we've been very happy here and hope to continue to be so, even with the issues that have occurred throughout the country and the administration that is now in power.
Tell me about those issues. You told our colleagues in Moncton that earlier this year you had some uncertainty about returning back to Florida.
I think everybody did. There was concern about going across the border. You hear horror stories. Our entrance to the United States was absolutely flawless. Excuse me. No problem whatsoever. And last year when we left in the spring, I think there was a bit of concern as to what the feeling was going to be of fellow Floridians that were here, what the American people might feel. But I have encountered none of that at all. In fact, I've laughed and said for Canadians, we're always telling, historically, we get teased about the fact that we say, oh, we're sorry. We're always saying we're sorry. That has changed now. It's the Americans who are saying, sorry. And that happens on a frequent basis. I've had clerks come out from behind counters in stores that I've visited over the past 12 years and hugged me and said, I'm so happy that you're back. Thank you for coming back. We're so glad you're here.
Well, Joan from Moncton, have you ever thought that maybe the grocery clerk who hugged you is just happy that you're back so he can keep his job, or that the shop doesn't close? You need to look past that surface level of that hug. You also said that U.S. citizens are now switching roles and apologizing to Canadians. Well, I just showed some screenshots from my comments, as well as the Florida Report comments, showing exactly what many U.S. citizens actually think about Canadians. How they don't care about whether we come back or not, and what they think of us as a country. Will these U.S. citizens in the screenshots give you a hug? I really, really doubt that. This is what I mean when I say Joan's living in a thick American patriot bubble. You said you had no problems at the border. Just because you had no problems at the border means it's good for everyone, right? Except if you have black or brown skin. But that didn't affect you, right, Joan? It might be your winter home, but it was also a winter home for thousands of Canadians who decided that they're not okay with the disrespect that the country you're supporting is showing towards Canada. I respect those Canadians who decided to leave their winter homes and who are now probably happier in Mexico, Portugal, or any other sun destination instead of the United States. Everyone has a choice, and your choice is to continue supporting the Florida economy, even though it continues to treat Canadians and international tourists as nothing more than an asset to the cash register. So Joan, you can stay right where you are, inside your potpourri and lavender blue pill bubble. But your reality is not the reality of what's actually happening right now. My guess is that the only way you and other snowbirds who are still going will truly understand is if an incident happens to you, whether it's a run-in at the border or run-in with a ruthless MAGA type who isn't going to give you a hug. And when that day comes, don't come crying to Canadians to tell your sob story. I go into her interview a bit more in a video that's going to be published after Christmas. That video also includes a Canadian snowbird who did the complete opposite of Joan and packed up and left the United States. So expect that video to be out after Christmas, most likely on Boxing Day, I'm thinking, somewhere around there. Now moving on. Because this first segment took longer than I expected, I'm going to go through this one quickly. Myrtle Beach is now offering discounts to Canadians up to 50% off. That's a pretty good discount if you ask me, but it's still a hard pass. I don't know exactly when this promotion started, but I'm showing this to you because the usual Canadian vacation destinations are clearly suffering, no matter what you're being told. If they weren't in trouble, they wouldn't really be offering 50% to Canadians, would they? To me, the fact that this promo exists and is still active tells me their domestic tourism industry isn't quite cutting it or filling the gap. We already knew it wouldn't. So I expect more of these promos to start showing up in 2026 because the US businesses and resorts, they just don't seem to learn. Now this last clip comes out of Newfoundland and Labrador. I wanted to end this video on a happier, more fun note. And I'm glad this event even received support from Germany. Let's take a look.
Every year, fishermen deck out their boats to spread the holiday cheer. Their festive lights make our moment.
Every year they add on more and more, from lights, thousands of lights, to blow-ups. It's just unbelievable. For 27 years now, we've been lighting up Portagrave Harbour. We invited the boats to take part, and they all do it willingly. The residents, they go above and beyond. When the fishermen are finished for the winter, they turn on a light in their boat so that they'll know that the power was on. One lone fisherman decided one Christmas, the Christmas before we started this, to put a string of Christmas lights on. I wondered if they would light up their boats. We sent out letters to the fishermen, and the very first year in 1999, we had 36 boats light up. On my boat, there's thousands. We got candy canes on her, we got a Christmas tree on her. We put a 8.5-foot Santa Claus on the wharf, so the kids go down and adults go down and get their picture taken. That's our Christmas. It is family traditions. The community just loves it. Some people have been coming now for 27 years. They're all good memories.
Looks magical. They get around 20 to 30,000 visitors a year now. They're even getting some international attention. A boat from Germany just docked. First time anyone's arrived from another country, and it's all lit up. Joy says her favorite part is just sitting on her boat and chatting with strangers who happen to wander by.
I'm glad to hear that a boat from Germany decided to participate, because it really shows the solidarity among our international friends during these strange times. Kat walked into the room. I'm sure you guys can tell. I thought I'd be able to go through the whole video without an interruption, but better late than never, I guess. I remember there used to be cargo ships that would go around Port Moody near Rocky Point Marina. Not at the scale of this fleet, but it was always fun to see. I added this segment because I know I need to start showing more positive Canadian stories. My channel started off back in April to stand up for the United States, and that's still the core of my channel. But what has evolved from my point of view is the community and the sense of solidarity that has been built around the Guard the Leaf channel. Because of that, I'm going to start making a point to adding some more positive Canadian stories and even global related stories that relate back to Canada. So if you have any stories in your region of Canada that you feel should be shared with the rest of the country, and quite frankly, the rest of the world, send them over my way. To close this off, I really want to thank everyone who supports my channel, and even those who are just here for the cat. Hey, I'll take a sub wherever I can get it. I never thought my channel would last 3 months, let alone cross 100,000 before the end of this year. It's been an amazing ride so far, and I'm really looking forward to getting outside of my comfort zone in 2026. With that said, I want to wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas, and I'll see you in the next video.